Okay, so let's just get right into things and let's just get right down to the nitty-gritty. Hi. Let's all just agree that Goodreads fucked up. Let's be honest. Goodreads didn't know what the fuck it was doing, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on with Goodreads, because when I went in to make my little votey vote about the best of books and what I loved reading this year, I had absolutely no idea what was on that list. I had no idea. Not a single clue. So it only makes sense that I fix it and I make it make sense because that was whack. I took some notes. We're pushing daylight because I thought it would be nice to get outdoors and have a bit of a change of scenery. And we're going to do my Booktube Choice Awards, where I tell you what Goodreads should have done. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've got a few different categories and a few different things that we're going to go through. And I thought it would be best if I broke them up into sections. We're not going to do the genre shenanigans that they did. I said I'm making it better, so I'm keeping my promise to you and I'm making it better. Maybe a lot of horrible things, but I'm not a liar. Okay, I said that, but there are a bit of genre. There's a little bit of genre at the beginning. But like I said, this is based off of me, and this is based off of what I read this year, which means we're doing the genres that I actually read, and I'm going to give you the best of those. I read 150 books this year, so we've got quite a bit to go through. And I scoured my Storygraph on my Goodreads for you, the people of America. And not America, the people. My sections are things that are genre-esque, categories made up by moi, thoughts and feels. Those are our big three. And we're gonna jump right into it with genres first. Okay, so first genre, nonfiction. Taste by Stanley Tucci is our winner. That was a memoir where Stanley Tucci wrote about his life through food. He wrote about how his nonna came in and cooked for him, how his mom and dad, and he gave recipes, and he gave how the time with his family and the time that he spent as a young man and as a child influenced the food that he cooked for his family, and his late wife and the food that she cooked, and what it looked like from holidays from him in his childhood and on. And it was so beautifully done, and it was so well written, and it felt like a warm plate of pasta. It felt like a warm hug. It felt like a full stomach. It felt like chaotic holidays, and it was perfect. It was so warm and filling, and I'm done with the food puns. Poetry. Hull by Zandria Phillips. This was a walk through what it meant to be colored, what it meant to be othered, what it meant to exist in a sexuality and in a body that was other, and it did that in the most beautiful narrative. Hull, a ship, something that, sorry, there's people coming and my stage fright is all over the place. Hull, a ship that is crashing against waves, something that is being rammed against, something that is being battered. It is beautiful. Now, young adults, I do have quite a few in the young adult section. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Quality. Fantastic. Besos y Besos. Legendborn. Now, I specifically say Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. The second book was great. It is a great jolly time, and I do believe it is going to be a trilogy. However, Legendborn was my favorite. It was so good to get that King Arthur aspect and to bring in a magic system based around that. And I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't read it, but to bring in the blood that is in the soil and the history that runs through that, and what it means to be Black, and what it means to have history, and what it means for Blackness to be so entrenched in trauma. Beautiful. Also, the don't touch my hair scenes. You had me. I didn't need to specify in The Six of Crows that is a duology. Leigh Bardugo knows what she's doing and she knows what's up. I'm also going to put in the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. Neil Shusterman knows how to write a world that you've never been in before. He knows how to create something that you've never experienced before. And Scythe was that for me. I don't want to spoil it for you, but in general, it is you're set in the future and the world is run by an ambient computer mind. And this ambient computer mind has decided that the one thing that it won't run and the one thing that it won't control for humans is death. So it has created an entire different government sect called the Scythedom. And these are a group of people that are chosen and trained to be impartial and to bring about death in a way that the old world used to have. And it's interesting because you get political intrigue, you get a little bit of romance, the twists and turns. Neil Shusterman will give you twists and turns every single 3 chapters. And it has that. It is young adult, so it does have that. This is the world and this is life, and I don't necessarily need to explain it to you. I find that young adult does that, and it does it, and Neil Shusterman does it well. In a lot of adult novels, it's here's magic, here's why, here's the history, here's what's going on. And young adult doesn't do that, so you really just have to take their word for it. And you have to take Neil Shusterman's word for it, but at the same time, it is shown to you, not necessarily told to you. I do find in a lot of young adult, they almost like speed blurt out a bunch to me, and it is a bit much. Next genre we're gonna hit is fantasy romance, not romantasy. The reason I did not include romantasy is just a bad time. It is a bad time. Every romantasy I read was like 3 stars. I was there for like, she's a captive and he's a dark fae prince that doesn't talk and has trauma. It's not good. So I couldn't choose anything because they were all ranked the exact same. However, swap the words around. Fantasy romance, a fantasy book that does have a little bit of sprinkling of romance, nettle and bone by T. Kingfisher. This was fantasy in a fairy tale kind of way. T. Kingfisher is so good at this, in creating this narrative that is just engorged in magic and fantasy and a world that is so just tinged in like a darkness to it. And I love that dark. Do I have words? No. Good quality time. That's what we're here for. Goodness. I don't need to be able to talk about it. Next genre, trash. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. The trash genre is a genre that you are reading for a bad good time. You are reading it not necessarily for good writing. You're not reading it because it is going to blow your mind. You're not reading it because it is different and it is going to give you amazing character development. Trash has plot holes and you love it. Okay? And I'm just going to give Allie Hazelwood the trophy for this. Everything Allie Hazelwood. Everything Allie Hazelwood. Every single book is the exact same. I love it. This man is going to be tall and dark and he is going to be broody. And she's going to be misunderstood. And she's going to be a woman in STEM that's just trying to support her people. And she is just struggling to survive in STEM. And he's going to break her back in half. They're going to have some miscommunication. He has always liked her, but are they enemies? She thinks they're enemies. You always treated me wrong. And he was like, oh, I just couldn't let myself get comfortable with you. And then he breaks her back in half. Yes, love it. Trash. There are plot holes. The banter isn't good. The jokes and puns are bad, but I am here for it. And you should be too. Now, next genre. Sci-fi. And I've got a little one for you, a small book. Please read it. To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. This is a day read, and I'm not going to tell you what it's about because it is so short that you should take it for yourself. And one thing about Becky Chambers and her writing, I'm not going to say what the book is about, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers wants you to think and ponder and sit with a thought and sit with an idea and sit with a theme and sit with a motif. She is writing these small pictures and these small clips for you to sit with yourself at the end. And To Be Taught If Fortunate is that. It's this small little bit, and when you get to the ending, you don't have a full book. It is a small book. And you know how you get those small books and it's not enough and you didn't get everything you needed. This one gave me what I needed, and it ended. I didn't need more. To want more from Becky Chambers is to be greedy, because Becky Chambers gives you what you need in that, and that is my sci-fi choice. Last genre that I'm including, suspense and thriller. Now, if you know me, I'm only giving points to suspense and thriller if I couldn't guess the ending, and if you didn't pull the ending right out of your booty hole, because you know who I'm talking about? Okay, Freedom McFadden. Freedom McFadden. Why are you pulling endings out of your booty crack? Please give me the hints. Give me the opportunity to guess. Give me the opportunity to be misled and feel upset that I didn't see everything that was laid out in front of me. So I'm going to give that one to The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Correct me if I'm wrong there. It did that. It gave me hints. It gave me clues. It led me and it walked me through a story. And it wasn't purposefully misleading me to pull something out of the air, out of its butt, out of nowhere. Alex Michaelides writes a thriller and truly gives you a little bit of all that you need to reach an ending. And I love that. Next section. The random categories that I thought were important and I thought you would find important as well. Let's take a sip because I've been talking so very quickly. All right. Now, first category, the best completed series. I say completed because I did start quite a few series and I'm like, oh, this is going to be fire. This is going to be flames. But I didn't list it because if I don't know the ending, I don't know how these characters develop, I don't know if the author got lazy, I'm not going to include it. And it's the Six of Crows duology. I know I brought up Six of Crows earlier as like a fire YA, and I'm trying not to repeat things, but the Six of Crows duology was so good and so amazing and so fantastic. The characters that you meet and the story that you're walked through and the world that you're introduced to and the magic that Leigh Bardugo gives you and the background that you get of each of these characters and the development, the story, the twists. It's so good. Six of Crows duology. That's my best series. Now, the best world. I am emphasizing the best world, the best concept, the best idea, because I didn't necessarily like this book. I don't see myself continuing this series. However, the idea behind this and the world that I experienced was so amazing. Iron Widow by Jiron J. Zhao. Another YA. It was a heavy YA year for me, and it was good. Now, best book with pictures. On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. Tilly Walden is able to draft the most beautiful story, and the colors that are chosen and the way that these conversations are held with just small glimpses and the movement and the way that things come off of the panel. It is so beautiful, and you should read a Tilly Walden. I love On a Sunbeam, and there's also another one that I like. I'll include the cover because I can't remember the title right now. Beautiful. The second one I can't remember the title of. I'm going to say that one's my favorite Tilly Walden of the year. However, due to the fact that I'm talking about pictures specifically, on a Sunbeam was so fantastic. It's a little bit of a sci-fi, and you've got a little bit of gay in there too, so please enjoy. Next category, drum roll, best cover, Our Wives Under the Sea. This was a literary fiction that really delved into this like dark, almost kind of like spooky-ish feels of what it means to lose somebody that's still there. And the cover's beautiful. Best title, Alone with You in the Ether by Olive E. Blake. Good book. Read it. But that's not what we're talking about. Best cliffhanger. And I'm putting cliffhanger in here because as a cliffhanger that you don't get an answer to. I don't want to include cliffhangers of series where you get an answer in the next book, or it's continued in a different story, or where you get a fade to black. That's not what my cliffhanger is. My cliffhanger I don't get an answer to, and I will never get an answer to. Pew by Catherine Lacey. Pew is... I would say Pew is a thought experiment of a book. Of this character with an undefined gender and no history and feels no need to speak, coming into this small town and being welcome and being accepted only so far as they are comfortable. And the ending, the build-up. Another small book, another one that you don't need too much time for. I would say like a 1 to 2 day read if you take it in like smaller chunks. That was a good one. Best ending. I've got 2. And I'm not going to explain the books because I don't want anything spoiled, because just know that these endings are fire. And for me personally, I'm giving this concept of the best ending as the endings that had me stop and think. And the reason I'm saying stop and think is I do have a best happily ever after, but we're not going to talk about that right now. I Who Have Never Known Men, Jacqueline Harper. A feminist read. Feminism, women, bodies, identity, what it means to be a woman, what it means to give life, hold life, take life. I Who Have Never Known Men. And I'll also put that as a tie with The Memory Police, another one that actually is a good cover. But The Memory I could do a whole video on every single section in The Memory Police. Sorry, I'm getting loud because I'm getting hype. I'm getting so excited. Those are my best endings. We're going to take a small little break from me running my mouth. And I'm now going to give you my best quotes. I'm limiting it to 5. I'm not going to explain what's happening. I'm not going to give you any background to these quotes. I'm just going to give you a few quotes. And please just take a second and enjoy these clips. And I tried to take quotes from books I loved. I'm not going to trash you, or I'm not going to do what I did earlier, but these are quotes from books that hit hard. And I feel like just enjoy them. Take a second. I'll put a little music or something. I'll take a break from having to listen to me run my mouth. Now, we're going to get into the best villain. Due to the way this was written, I can't tell you who the villain is. It's a surprise. I can't tell you anything about this villain. I'll tell you the series. There was a manga, Chainsaw Man. The villain that you get at the end of Chainsaw Man was just too good. If you haven't read a manga, you are dabbling in manga, or you need a new manga, do Chainsaw Man. Watch it too. I haven't watched it, but I've heard great things. And I believe those are all the categories that I chose. Last section, and then I'll give you an extra credit section. But my feels. This is my feels section of the video. First feels. Just vibes. Just a feeling. No feel specifically, just feelings, okay? Legends and Lattes. Not going to tell you what it's about. If you haven't read it yet, go read it. If you are on Book Talk, you know that it exists. It is such a cozy. You know what? I am going to tell you what it's about. You know what? Fuck those people. This is my time. Don't go watch anybody else. Watch me. Legends and Lattes. You have an orc who has left the rough and tumble life and wants to just settle down and start a coffee shop. And you get these descriptions of like this character finding family and finding connection and building relationships, describing chocolate, describing pastries, describing coffee, and it's just cozy, that cozy fantasy. Another vibe is Miss Ice Sandwich by Meiko Kawakami. This has a character that is, I do believe, coded to have autism. And he just is this young, I believe, elementary school boy that shows up at the same grocery store multiple times over the course of this very short, very small book. Just because he likes the woman who makes the sandwiches. It feels good. Best cry. Now I have two different cries here. Best, oh my gosh, you are ripping my heart out cry. Lie With Me by Philippe Besson. This is translated from French, and it is another queer novel, and it's a snapshot of young love, a snapshot of loss, a snapshot of growing, a snapshot of leaving, a snapshot of parting, and it is so beautiful. Please do it. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. My other cry is my best happy cry, The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is a little fantasy. I'm trying to think if it's young adult. I don't know if it's young adult. And there is a mythical child orphanage where these children are sent to this orphanage because they're the most dangerous of the little magical children. And there is a man sent there essentially to check up and see if they're up to code almost, right? And that's all I'm going to tell you, because get a little happy cry. I happy cried. I did like a little like one of those, you know? That's good. I had a good time. I don't know about everybody else, but I liked it. Next feel. The best, okay, I'm going to try to describe a feeling to you because I put down feet kicking, the best feet kicking. And you know what I'm talking about? The little like, the little like, you know what I'm talking about? The best feet kicking. The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. Now you remember I brought up our girl Allie Hazelwood earlier because she writing some trash? I'm kicking my feet at that trash. I am kicking my feet and throwing it in the dumpster, and I'm eating every bit of it up. I'm having a great time. All of Allie Hazelwood's books are the exact same. That one was just my favorite of the repeats, I guess. I don't know. I think people say that they're, Raylo fanfics. Whatever that means. I don't Star Wars. I schmut. Okay. The Best Disgust. The Doloriad by Missouri Williams. Now, Missouri Williams truly wrote a disgusting novel. Just with themes of like incest, family, death, and the descriptions. Like, I believe Missouri described sunlight as milky, like this milky light, like streaming in between the trees, and the way that she describes these blobs of human flesh that have come from years of incest. And it's a book written, I didn't even tell you what it's about. It's a book written essentially post-apocalypse, right? And you get this woman who has, hold on, somebody's coming by. You get a little music break. Okay. There's a woman who is like, I'm going to repopulate the world in my image, right? She's the mother. And her and her brother are what's left in this post-apocalyptic world. They're repopulating. They're doing the grossness, the in my image-ness. But the children that come out of this, the way that they are described is like these blobs of amorphous flesh, and the descriptions of like death, the attempted matricide, that the patric, like everything that comes out of this book is gross. Another book that I have in the gross, disgusting, best of section, The Best Disgust. Now, mind you, this is best discussed. Doesn't mean that I necessarily like these books. It doesn't even necessarily mean they got 5 stars. Remember that throughout this entire list, I'm not giving you best books. I'm giving you best of this category. And this is the best disgust that I felt. Manhunt by Gretchen Wilkins, but Gretchen, my girl. This was body horror. Another post-apocalypse. But in this, it was disgusting. You've got these horrible zombies with these barbed phalluses, and they just sprint around and look to impregnate the women that are left over on this earth. And it is, every single zombie was created from, hold on a second, we got another bike rider. Every single zombie was created from a man. So it's like this testosterone. The testosterone in a man's body is what changes them into a zombie. And this book is written by, and the main characters are these trans women who are hunting for estrogen and trying to maintain themselves in this world and essentially suppress their testosterone so that they don't succumb into this zombie, evil, horrible world where a lot of R wording is happening, and the body horror that is written into this, and the thoughts that, like, it is an interesting book discussion wise, but it is disgusting and it is awful and it is sad and the ending is crazy. Oh, but like, fun fact, do you know how I told you that the trans women have to keep up their estrogen? The only way that they're able to maintain that is by eating the testicles of the dead zombies. Yeah, it's disgusting. You get to read those scenes. Next up is aghast. My feeling of aghast when I think about it is the, The 7 Husbands of Emily Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was standing up, flipping tables. The drama. So good. Now, to end this before I lose all of my light, last section, let's give you a subsection. Big section, smut. And this subsection, I'm not going to explain anything. This is your little bit of extra credit. Best sausage goes to Luxuria, Colette Rhodes. Best marriage of convenience, The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. And my bad, wow. Getting hot and bothered out here talking about my favorite snack categories. The best praise kink, Stalked by the Kraken by Lillian Lark. These are not safe for work. These are not safe for children. These are not safe to read out in public. They're not necessarily good books. These books have plot holes. These books aren't necessarily written well. However, best sausage, best marriage of convenience, and best praise kink. That's what I have for you there. Thank you for coming to my Booktube Choice Awards. Thank you for enjoying the fact that Goodreads got it wrong and sitting with me while we get it right. Now, let's have a talk. All of our opinions matter, baby. They do. Your opinion matters. My opinion matters more. And what I would love is, if you don't agree, tell me. Don't hold it in. I'm all about communication. This is an open space for everybody to talk. And if you've got a problem, let me know. If I got it wrong, let me know. If you hated it, let me know. But again, remember, I didn't necessarily list out good books. I listed out the best example of the random categories I decided to choose. If you want to list good books below, please do. Because this was a random, like last year, I feel like I knew what Goodreads was doing, but this year I didn't. And I felt like what we needed was a better example. Now, I would also like to say, I did mention that I read 150 books this past year. If you read 3 books, that is so great and that is so amazing. If you read no books, that is so great and that is so amazing. This is not a competition. And I know I joke about come at me with the different opinions. No, I love that. Please talk to me about books. So I'm here. I want to talk. I want to talk shit. I want to talk smut. I want to talk spice. I want to talk monsters. Ew. Wow. I'll see you next week. This was fun. I'm drinking coffee at 5 p.m. Daylight is gone. I don't know if I ever introduced myself. My name is Fats. And I call this the Baby Back Book Club, where we kiss and tell. Thank you for joining me for the Booktube Choice Awards. Now, a word from our sponsor. I'll see you next time, babies.